Our pleasure. And Entrell and the rest of the Cards have a little more than a week to go before training camp. Both rookies and vets will report a week from Thursday, July 29th. Still to come here on ESPN First Take, T.O.'s new reality show debuted last night on VH1. Skip Bayless watched every minute of it. You know you want to hear what he had to say. You will in Second Down. And after the break, we go back to the NFL. Texans defensive end Mario Williams, one of the best in the league, but it's the story of a Houston rookie defensive end that deserves the spotlight. Connor Barwin tells you about his obstacle-filled childhood. Up soon.
You're watching ESPN First Take, presented by DirecTV.
I just want to read to you from the chat here, Skip. Candace wrote, "Skip, don't hate. You know the show was funny."
Funny. For all the wrong reasons it was funny.
Sure, I would have said funny.
Why is current OSU running back Kendall Hunter drawing so many comparisons to the Hall of Famer? We're going to ask Cowboys coach Mike Gundy. He is with us when we come back.
You're watching ESPN First Take, presented by DirecTV.
Back in 2007, our next guest made national headlines with a memorable press conference rant. Nearly 2 years later, the Oklahoma State football team is in the news again, this time for a much different reason. It's because of their play on the field. The Cowboys have a very solid group coming back for 09. In fact, they're ranked in the top 10 in a number of preseason polls, and expectations are running high again in Stillwater. To help preview the Cowboys' 2009 season, we welcome in Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy. Coach, good to have you in. It's crazy because you're in the top 10, yet when you look at the teams in your, not just in your conference, but in your division, it's hard to make a case to put you any higher than number 3. What does that say about the depth of your conference and your division?
Well, we think that the Big 12 obviously is one of the best leagues in the country, and Oklahoma State continues to get better every year. You have to give Oklahoma and Texas credit because they've been up there for a long time, but it's a lot of fun to play in a division, that's for sure.
The debate rages between the SEC, which has produced a number of champions here recently, and then the Big 12, which seems to have so much depth and so much skills position depth that it is a good debate to have. Where do you, I know as a Big 12 guy, you're going to say, well, you know, our conference is right there, but how do you assess the two conferences?
Well, it's very interesting that the Big 12 gets a lot of publicity now with the offense, and I think it's been unusual the last few years. We've had some terrific quarterbacks in our league that have a lot of experience. The style of play on offense would score a lot of points, and there's not as much talk about the defense. You know, the SEC, they talk more about the defense. We don't see a lot of crossover tape, but the defenses in the Big 12, I think, have to move and play a little bit faster. But I think the debate's going to go on. You know, we just hope that in our league, Oklahoma State comes out and gets a chance to play for the whole thing.
Are the offenses, because this I think is a philosophical question, is it that the offenses are just that good that the defenses can't keep up, or the defenses aren't that good and it makes the offenses look that much better?
I think it goes back to the skill in our league right now with the receivers, the running backs, and more importantly, the quarterbacks, the experience and their ability to make a play really fast. There's so many big plays, what we call chunk plays, plays that are over 20 yards. They happen really fast, and so the defenses who may be playing pretty well, you still get a number of plays in big chunks, which means the score gets pushed up there, so you get big numbers.
Usually, when the powerhouses start their season, you know how it works. I don't want to pick any schools off the top of my head, but a lot of the schedule makers will tend to make it easy. You guys come right out of the bat, and you go against an SEC squad. You get Georgia at home to start the season. What are the advantages and the disadvantages of starting a season against a quality opponent like that?
Well, we put this together a few years ago, and we opened up down there and didn't play as well 2 years ago. But now that they're coming in, one of the advantages are that your players throughout the summer can stay somewhat focused, knowing that you're open against such a good football.
Yeah, there's no easy one at the start.
It's not like you're out there in the summer saying, hey, we can back off our sprints and lifting a little bit because we're open against somebody that may not be as good as we are. You're playing Georgia.
Have you noticed a difference in your guys?
No question.
Yeah.
And I think the attitude, you know, the focus. One of the disadvantages is you don't get to try anything out. I mean, you got to be up and running. You know, we got a couple players maybe playing for the first time, and well, let's see how they do. Get them ready to play somebody maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. Well, you don't have that luxury when you're playing Georgia. You better be ready to go in the first game.
Yeah. When we hear the name Mike Gundy, instantly fans say, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And in case they don't, and I know you probably hate this, but we'll refresh the viewers' memories. Here's a clip from. Well, you'll recognize it when you see it.
That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage, and the editor that let it come out is garbage. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me. Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? That's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
Now, it was a very serious issue, obviously, but 2 years removed, it still makes us chuckle a bit when we see it. What do you think when you see that played back?
First off, I've never really seen the entire episode.
You haven't?
I really haven't. Now, that guy was angry.
Yeah, he was clearly upset.
The funny thing is I have 3 boys at home, and one of them has gotten really good at mimicking it. And, I look back at it and I think, wow, how it took off. And our media director, Kevin Clintworth, came to me and said, you've had over like 6 million hits on the internet on that. But I tell you what's happened. It's been good for us in recruiting. It's turned into a positive for us. These parents, I go into homes across the country, and it's generally the first thing they bring up. They know that if a young man comes to Oklahoma State, that their coaching staff is going to fight for him.
Right.
And so it's actually worked out into a positive. And you look back and you think, would you do it again? Yeah, I'd do it again, because anytime there was a person that I thought was attacking one of our players, I'd support him in any way. Now, do I wish it wouldn't have had 6 million hits on the internet? Yeah, you'd certainly not for that not to happen. But it is what it is. We have a good time with it. It's kind of faded back home, but around the country, people still listen to it and like it. But it's been really good for our program in recruiting.
All right, let's talk about your team, because I know you're excited about the group that you have coming back. You have one of the top quarterbacks in the country. For those that don't know about Zach Robinson, what makes him so good?
He's been a great leader for us. He's been reliable. He's durable. He can make a play running. I think that's so important with all the speed that's out there on defense. He can take off and run. If it's 3rd and 6 and protection may break down, or if they're covered, he can take off and convert a first down. And our team has really rallied around him.
You quarterbacked one of Oklahoma State's best offenses back in 1988. So which team had the better signal call, this team or the 88 version?
Well, I don't think there's any question Zach Robinson's a better player. When I look back and see some of my highlights, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could even play nowadays. Didn't run well enough, but he's been tremendous for us, and the supporting cast he has been awesome, and that's why we've been able to move the football and score some points.
How about at receiver? You guys had a really good one at receiver as well in Hartley Dykes. But this team has a good one as well, too, in Des Bryant. Who has the better receiver?
Well, that's a close one. Hart was a tremendous player for us, and at times we may never know, because back then we only threw the ball 22 times a game.
Right.
And now you throw it 40 times a game, nobody even thinks twice about it.
You can't compare the numbers.
It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
You throw it 22 or 42, but Des Bryant's been tremendous for us. He's fearless across the middle, very, very, very competitive.
We've heard that he has just ridiculously large hands. In fact, some say he's got the biggest hands in college football. Is that true?
His hands are very big. I don't know how he compares with everybody else, but the first thing we noticed when we were recruiting him, when we shook his hand, that his fingers come out about an inch longer than mine. And
right.
Tremendous hands, very strong, and he's got a lot of natural ability.
And that certainly helps when it comes to picking the ball out of the air.
No question.
It certainly helps in what he's doing. You guys also had a terrific running back at Oklahoma State in the past, in Barry Sanders. And I'm not going to ask you to compare Kendall Hunter to Barry Sanders. That probably would be unfair. But this is a special kid, too. What makes him special in his own way?
Very similar in stature and strength and running style. It's hard to compare anybody to a college and NFL Hall of Famer. But Kendall has been really good for us, and a great person. Very quiet, and doesn't care about how many carries or how many touchdowns he scores. Just likes to go out and play. Continues to learn the offense and evolve. He's been a good receiver for us. Probably need to throw the ball to him more.
If you turn back the clock and that 88 team played this version of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, how does it come out? We're comparing the two on the screen there. I think 10-win season is nothing to sneeze at.
The 88 at 47.5 a game was pretty amazing back then for points scored.
Because they weren't doing that back then.
You didn't see that a lot. Now, again, you do have to give credit. You turn around and toss it to a guy that nobody could tackle, made a big difference. It would be interesting. Defensively, we had struggled a little bit back then, and it's really hard to compare the teams. I know we had a lot of fun back then playing, and we're having a lot of fun now.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like a good video game matchup, though.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
It would be fun. Well, Coach, I know you're excited about this team. It's a brutal schedule. It's a brutal conference, but someone has to come out of it. Good luck to you and the Cowboys.
Well,
thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. The second hour of ESPN First Take is underway.